Thank you for listening to Depictions Media Radio. Aren't 5 sparrows sold for 2 small coins? Yet none of them is overlooked by God. Even the hairs on your head are all counted. Don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. Luke 12, verses 6 through 7. Women in government it's a reflection of how our community is going. That women are outspoken in our community, women are to be looked at as a force in our community to bring our community together, to bring us the things that we need to be compassionate in our community. Recently I had the opportunity to speak with 2 elected officials in 2 different city governments. The mayor of Langley, BC, or Langley City, BC, and city council member from Surrey, BC, both speaking very passionately about the communities that they serve, and they want to serve as best as they can. They want to ensure that the community thrives and that the people within it are happy, healthy, and have as much freedom as possible. They want to make sure that while there are always going to be taxes, and because cities have expenses that need to be paid, and it is up to the residents and citizens of those municipalities to help take care of those things. But they want to make sure, these women want to make sure that the government is transparent about what those expenses are, how the taxes are being used, and they want an open door policy for these 2 cities to thrive. So let's listen to what Mayor Val Vanderbroek of Langley City and City Council member Brenda Locke of Surrey, BC have to say about their municipalities that they serve. We've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
I'm sitting here with Mayor Val of Langley City, BC, and when I first met you, you were on council, city council.
That's correct.
Yeah. And we joined together via a local charity.
Yes. I like charities. I like helping out charities, so we both do. So, yes. Yeah.
So, although you didn't walk across BC.
No, I missed out on that. Yeah. I would have done it if I could have taken the time off. So.
Yeah. But what inspired you? What's the story behind you actually running for public office to begin with? That's a lot to hang out there, because your whole life is hanging out there for the public to look at.
Yep, you're absolutely right. So, previous to going on council in 2014 to 2018, I was on city council. Prior to that, I worked for the city for 8 years. I ran the city community police office, and I did a lot of work with the city in Langley, and of course I worked for the RCMP as well, so kind of had the best of both worlds, so to speak. And there was a lot of issues that I felt weren't being dealt with within the city. And what better way to make a difference than quit your full-time job, great full-time job with a pension, and risk it for a 3-month casual to run for city council, which I did. And I won. And I finished second in the polls. So I knew the community very well from working at the community police office, because I was going out and doing a lot of safety talks, and I was working with a lot of the nonprofit organizations and stuff like that within, the city and in the township. And I felt more could have been done. At that time, there was one dog park. I think Community Gardens was under construction at the time. I wanted more. I wanted more community events. I really wanted to change the city. I wanted to move it forward because I felt like it was time for it to grow up. The time had come, and I felt that I could really make that change. So when the time came that we were kind of getting out of that term, we knew at that point Mayor Schaefer, the previous mayor, wasn't going to run. And one of the things that really catapulted me into running for mayor was I wanted Skytrain. That was my number one priority. At that time, we had a motion come through for LRT, which was fine for the time, but I really felt it should have been Skytrain. So I asked to have included that if the Skytrain is offered to us, we would take Skytrain over LRT. And I kind of knew at that moment that it was my time to run for mayor and make sure the Skytrain happened. And it did, Here I am, like I said, a first-time mayor, 3 years into my term. I've lobbied for $3.9 billion and changed LRT to Skytrain. So I fulfilled my campaign promise. And I'm pretty happy about that. I worked hard. I worked every day on Skytrain. I went to Ottawa twice, always talking to the other mayors, building these great relationships. And it's been quite the ride. I'm not gonna lie. It's been really, really neat. So.
Well, this is going to sound like a slam against politicians, but but in some situations, because politicians have this reputation, they make big campaign promises and then never follow through on them, and you're following through on a huge campaign promise.
Yep.
The announcement, you're sitting on the stage
I'm still glowing. I'm not going to lie.
With the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
And you started out as a community police
coordinator.
Yeah. And
I'm just one of those people. I work hard. I play hard. I get something into my mind, and I just do everything I can to get it done. And like my second campaign promise was an urgent care center. Well, that was going to happen, but COVID hit. So now urgent care centers have kind of been put on hold, so to speak, for a bit. But the good thing is we're getting the new hospital in Cloverdale, which I sit on the Fraser Valley Health Board, Fraser Health Board, which I helped get that hospital there. We know it's going to service Langley. So not only have I fulfilled my number one campaign promise, I've fulfilled my number two campaign promise.
Right.
So
it came about in a different way.
It did, but we are still going to get health care that's going to benefit our community.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, right? Yeah. We want healthy, safe community that everybody can feel where they belong, and
Because to give politicians a better name, it isn't that you just give up on your campaign promises. If something else may happen, changes it.
Hey, things align sometimes just perfectly, and that's true. But I can say we worked really hard to get that money and get things changed over. So to me, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but I always say I'm an elected official. I'm not a politician. And to me, an elected official, I don't, it almost, being a younger mayor, I kind of look at it as the old school policy. And not that that's bad or wrong. We learned from it. But I think politics has to really change and evolve now. Especially in 2021, after this pandemic, after everything has happened. And instead of working against each other or making deals or whatever, I think we need to be open and honest and sit down and say, this is what we need to do, let's do it. And we did. You know, like, it just, like I said, I work hard and I play hard. And I always, I want to do the best that I can do all the time, and I want to do the best for the community, and this was right for the community. And LRT is great, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's right for Fraser Highway. It's a glorified bus system, and we already have a rapid bus, so it would have been spending money, and then it would have been done, and then we would have looked at it going, well, we can't even keep up with the capacity of it, right? So it's thinking ahead and looking at everything that's out there and really I'm a researcher. I really like doing my homework and doing my research and learning. So I was that geeky kid at 6 years old that would read the entire encyclopedia from beginning to end because I was bored, and I would just sit on the living room floor and I'd just read about all the different things, right?
Reminding me, we had the high five on that one later on because I was just that
well,
same
there was nothing else to do. Like TV back then, those days, you know, you had maybe two or three channels and you were the remote control because your parents would get you to get up and turn the channel, right? Or
you were the rabbit ears.
That too. Oh my goodness, I remember trying to get the Muppet Show and the Disney night, right? Sunday night. So those good old family times. But no, I think it's really important to not be in it for yourself, be in it for the community.
Yeah.
And to me that makes a lot of difference. I'm not in this to gain anything. I'm not in this to I don't want to say further myself. I'm just doing it because I think it's the right thing to do for a community. And I just found nobody was stepping up, and I stepped up, and here we are.
Yeah.
So
how did you inspire the next generation to come forward and do better?
I love talking to the younger generation, and I try to do as many talks and presentations as I can. I mentor girls. I have for a very long time. I mentor different girls at different times with a lot of political science, because really women are normally typically into political science, more so now, but I think it's very important for this younger generation to get involved at a very young age. And what I personally saw happen was my generation didn't vote. It was almost like it was taboo because our parents, you know, they had a political party they voted for, they stuck with that no matter what, right?
Right.
And I think our generation and people our age just really didn't want to vote because they were, you know, against that theory. You know how things change over generations, right?
Yeah.
And I see a shift now where, like the last time at the polls, people were bringing their kids again, which they should. They should be bringing their children to show them how it works and that sort of thing. So I think talking about it, trying to get more people involved. I'm actually, I've just been elected again to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Board, Executive Board. And I'm going to be the vice chair of the, it's a really long title. It's getting women involved in politics. committee, and I'm really looking forward to it because I think we need that diversity on our councils, and it's not necessarily there. So the more women we can get involved, gives you a different perspective, because a mom has a very different perspective than a grandma or a businesswoman, right?
So, I know you believe in politics, you believe in the community, but not necessarily always party.
Yeah.
In a talk yesterday, Green Party leader Anna May, she made a statement about women being bullied on Parliament Hill.
I'm not surprised. I'd like to say that it doesn't happen, but it does. I can tell you my experience has been very, I don't want to say traumatic, but yeah, even campaigning, when you go door knocking, I had men slam the door on my face and said they will never vote for a woman. So even to get into office, I knew I had to work twice as hard. That is the reality of it. So thankfully, the voters chose me, and I appreciate that. And my thanks to them is fulfilling my promises.
Right.
And I've done that. I got one more to do, but we're working on it, a safer community, and we're getting more events in the downtown area and stuff. Well, COVID put a little damper on that, but, that's the important thing, is having people out and doing happy and healthy things with their families and friends and stuff. So that'll change our community. Getting back, what was the question again? Sorry, I get sidetracked sometimes.
That's okay. You pretty much answered that last
question.
It's okay, because this is more of a conversation than what do you see when you are ready to leave office? What would you like to see your vision of your community of Langley?
I would like to see the Skytrain station at the end with transit police and maybe a community police office there to help people navigate the Skytrain and such. And I want to see a community that really comes together in a sense that there's families and they're happy and they can walk around safely. They know that they're being taken care of by the city, and by that I mean they have access to recreation, they have water coming out of their taps, but they're happy living here and they're enjoying it. That to me is when I hear when people come up to me, I walk around almost every day downtown or around, and I'm always talking to people out on the street. And the thing I love hearing the most is, your staff is fantastic. These parks look wonderful. So to me, that's what I want. I want that to continue. I want that connection with the residents and City Hall. I want there to be a connection, because I didn't just get elected to decide what to do. I always say, I want to hear your ideas. The residents are the ones with the ideas, right? So I want to listen to that, and I want to make sure I pay attention to that, because it's important. Otherwise, you're not doing it for the right reasons, as far as I'm concerned. So I think it's very important that we continue to build that bond and get better communication in everything. I mean, that's really what the world comes down to is communication. But I want to see healthy, happy families in the downtown core walking around, maybe going to see a show at our new arts center, or working out at the recreation, or planting a garden in the community garden and meeting a senior and helping them out. To me, that's a community. Everybody working together. Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with Brenda Locke. She is City Council member for Surrey, BC. And she's here to talk with us today, one, about her campaign to run for mayor of Surrey, BC it'll be 2022, right?
Yes, it's October the 15th, 2022.
Yeah. And also, we wanted to talk to you also about the inclusive housing project that was called Harmony, that was recently defeated, and we know that you were actually for that particular project, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I was.
Yeah. So, let's start with Harmony. So, what were some of the details that you actually liked about the project?
Well, I think it's important that we have all kinds of housing in the city of Surrey, and affordable housing is really a challenge for every city, not just Surrey. But we certainly are one of the worst cities in all of Metro Vancouver for our occupancy, our rental occupancy, and affordable housing is just really important. And then you take it that one step more. And what kind of housing do you have for people that may have other challenges? And this particular project, to me, would have been an amazing asset to the city of Surrey, to our rental stock.
Yeah. So right now, what is the average rent in Surrey? Do you know?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I don't. But I do know that market housing in Surrey for an average wage earner is very difficult. Even school teachers would be challenged to find rental accommodation that they can afford. It's very high, and so we rely heavily on basement suites. But some of the populations and some of the people with the disabilities, the intellectual disabilities that Harmony would have been able to accommodate, that wouldn't have worked for them. So this was very specialized housing, and I think would have been a great asset to the city, and run by an amazing organization. Unity is just done wonderful work in Surrey, and we see it with their other housing project at Semiahmoo House.
Yeah, Semiahmoo House is right across the street from our corporate office.
Okay.
Yeah,
then
so we're very
know
familiar with them, and the great work that they actually do, and we've met several times with the Semiahmoo self-advocates, right? So.
Yes, so you know what a great organization they are.
Mm-hmm.
They are truly an important part of our city, and in that they provide some of the social infrastructure that we need for our city. And so I actually was quite shocked that that some on council decided to vote against this project.
Yeah. So you don't have haven't heard any reasoning from your colleagues or and fellow members of council as to why they voted against it, huh?
You know, it started right at the beginning when the motion came to put that on the floor. The people who usually, Councillor Guerra and Councillor Patton, usually are the people that move and second a motion. They remained silent. They would not move and second the motion. It ended up that Councillor Hundal and myself moved and seconded the motion to put it on the table. And then when it came to the vote, councillors Elford, Nagra, Guerra, and Patton voted against it along with the mayor. And I was actually shocked. They didn't even say why. I think that that was surprising. Like, I think the people that called in, and there were many who called in, there were many more that signed the petition or wrote us, they deserved an explanation as to why they voted against that project. I still do not know why.
Yeah, I would think that the voting public in general would like to know why something that would help so many people, why was voted down. So
I think a project like this, they deserve to know why. Mm-hmm. They deserved to have an explanation, and there just wasn't anything forthcoming.
Yeah. So, Brenda, how long have you actually been on council?
I was elected with the others on council in November 2018. Prior to that, in 2021, I was an MLA and a cabinet minister.
Okay, so you've been an elected official for a number of years. Okay.
Yeah, I've been elected before.
Yeah. So, what are some of the things that I like to see? I like for the people to know who you are as a candidate and as an official, who you are and what you value. So, what are some of the things that you would like to see in our community that aren't there, and what are some of the things that you would like to see stay in our community?
Well, I think one of the things, if I was thinking right off the top, I would tell you it's openness, transparency, and accountability. And I know people say that a lot, and it almost sounds like words out of a politician's mouth. But I actually think we've lost a lot of that in Surrey. I think public involvement in community committees is really important. This mayor and his councillors have shut out the community. We need to bring people back in and let them see what's going on. It is their city, and people need to take responsibility for their city, and they want to. People want to have their say. So I think that's really important, that people become more engaged, and we give them that opportunity to actually be part of that decision-making process. I think the other thing we've lost in the last almost 3 years under this mayor is a level of civility and respect. Respect for not just us on council, but respect for the residents. And we see that at council meetings. When the mayor cuts people off the way he does, I think that is that's hugely problematic, and I don't think that's appropriate. I think there's a responsibility to hear the residents out. So I think we have to know we will never agree on everything, and that's a good thing. We should always be open to frank and honest debate and civil debate. That's what we're here to do. This is the people's house, after all. So we should be able to do that, but that isn't the way it goes in Surrey right now, and that's disappointing.
So, what you're describing, what you would like to see, isn't that like part of the rules of being a democracy? Listening to the opinions around you, even if you don't agree with them, and you're going to debate against or for. But the fact that you're listening to those opinions, isn't that part of the basic parts of democracy?
It's absolutely, that is exactly what democracy is about. It's about getting different opinions, and sometimes it's mitigating them, and sometimes it is that you cannot even, you ignore them at times. There is that does happen. But everybody should have their voice. This city belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to the mayor. It doesn't belong to the council. It belongs to the residents. And so they should have that opportunity. And I think that council can do one thing, and that is reach out to the community. I would really like to see us, for example, have a youth council, have a youth group that actually advises. I would like a mayor's advisory. I would like to see the public safety committee reestablished with residents from the city. There are so many environmental issues. We need the environmental community to get involved and to start really helping us build this city.
Yeah. How do you feel about you're talking about safety of the city and of course keeping the city beautiful. How do you feel about like the deforestation and development that happens in some of the parks that are like torn apart, and the tall trees tore down just so they could build a town housing development?
Right. So we've had a number of fairly large projects come through city. There is no doubt about it. I mean, we are building up the core. So the Wally area was chosen mostly because of the good access to transit, and we know that this is going to be the sort of downtown of Surrey. But in doing that, we have to make sure that we're maintaining green areas still, and trees and public spaces, and we have to do a better job of that. But there is other areas, and I'm going to talk specifically about one that we did have come before us, and that's the South Campbell area. That is the area around the Hazelmere and the Little Campbell, about building an industrial land and put industrial land in that area, further down that area. I think that's a huge problem for us. I think it will be a problem for us also because of Metro Vancouver. We also are looking at an area that has an aquifer there that will that delivers water both to Langley and White Rock, but also to Semiahmoo First Nation. So we're imposing on our neighbours, even though the land is inside of Surrey's boundary, we still have to be respectful of our neighbours that have concerns, and Langley in that case expressed their concern about their aquifer, their water for the Brookside area being interfered with. And it's not just Langley, and it's also White Rock. White Rock has stated they were concerned, as did Semiahmoo. So I think we have to really look at those kind of things and be better neighbors when it comes to some of that. But, we can't ignore climate change. Mm-hmm. And we have to keep on looking at what we need to do to preserve our green spaces and to make sure they're here, not just for ourselves and our children, but our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. We have a responsibility to that.
Yeah. So, with that, it leads me to about the routing of Skytrain, because it was, I guess, maybe not even a month ago that Justin Trudeau was out here in Surrey to big public meeting, an announcement about the deliverance of funds to help build Skytrain, right? To go from, I guess it's from King George to
Langley.
To Langley, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about the routing of that so that we again protect the green spaces and the environment?
Yeah. So I think public transit is hugely important to protecting the environment. We have to help people have an option so that they can get out of their cars, and Skytrain is one of those. I know that there is an area between about 140th and 144 where there is going to be some trees taken down. But the overall of Skytrain to Langley, I support. I have to tell you, though, it is a long-term project, and it's an extraordinarily expensive project for Surrey. But I think it is the right thing to do. I mean, we're seeing the development in Cloverdale and Clayton of houses and more people living in that area, and then right through to Langley. So this will be beneficial to that whole corridor.
Yeah.
Having said that, at the end of the day, the workhorse of the public transit system is still the buses. And it's how do we build or how do we encourage TransLink to put more buses into Surrey and more and develop bus lanes so that they can move more efficiently and more safely throughout our city. We need that east-west corridor with Skytrain is great, but we also need to look at the north-south corridors and how do we get people in and out of Newton and South Surrey and White Rock. And we're starting to look at that a little more. We saw the double-deckers come into White Rock, and they have proved to be an asset, a public transit asset.
Yeah,
but we need more. We need more.
Yeah,
bottom line.
I've seen the number of the double-decker buses. We don't see too many in South Surrey. Of course, we don't see too many of the. I like to call them the slinky buses. You know, the ones that had the bend in the middle of them.
Oh, the articulated buses. Yeah. They don't. Yeah.
Well, you see the double-deckers, which they're nice because they hold more people, right?
Yes.
So.
I think they hold 80. Like, they hold a lot of people, those double-deckers. So they can move a lot of people, but they go longer distances. The double-deckers are not meant to be, the short stop buses, because it's the whole, getting people up and down is more of a challenge. Those are more longer distance. So, but they're working well, and the B lines that are the big articulated ones are more for like the 323. So those ones that go straight through Newton from Scott Road all the way through. It's one of the busiest routes in Metro Vancouver. That line. Yeah.
I've actually been to get to a couple meetings in I think it was in Richmond or something that I actually took that particular line. I took the one that went into a line that took me into, of course, the South Surrey Park and Ride, and then took another line that took me into Newton, where I caught the one that you're talking about, and it was I got to my destination in a very timely manner. So it seems like the transit is being well organized. But like you said, that there's a couple of areas with the expansion, the Skytrain expansion, like parts of Cloverdale and South Surrey are going to be left out of that expansion, and we would need more buses, right?
Yes, and I think the good part about the Skytrain and the stops, once it gets to Clayton, it will be able to help that area, because Clayton is it's so dense, it's so tightly populated in there. They really do need better transit access.
Yeah. And
they will need more buses as well.
So, with that being said, what about access to the new hospital with transit? Is there going to be a plan to help, of course, the healthcare workers get to work, and for those who just need like outpatient care or whatever into that complex area?
Right. So, there will be different access points, and once we look at the hospital and what it's going to look like, the location, which is just near the Kwantlen campus off of number 10, we're going to have to look at better bus service down Highway 10, because that we already have congestion on number 10. It's already a very busy road, so we do have to focus on that area as well.
Yeah. What are some of the other things that you would like to see happen within Surrey that you just think are valuable, and that some of the people that have voted for you say are valuable also?
Well, I think the one thing that we have a challenge with in Surrey is our growth has superseded our infrastructure. It's superseded our ability to serve our residents. So our roads, if you drive around Surrey, you will know a lot of our roads are in desperate need of repair. I can even think of, some of the main arterial roads. If you look at 152 and there's parts of it that are in tough shape, and 132 and 156, then you can go all the way through. We desperately need to do some improvements to our roads. We also are really needing to look at our own assets. So taking care of our assets better is really important to me. Our pools, we don't have enough pools. We don't have enough libraries, and we just know that by comparing our population density to our ability to serve our residents. It's very clear we don't have enough amenities for a population. But the one thing that worries me more than all of those, and the one thing we have to be very focused on, I think, is public safety. We have not increased the number of police officers by one officer, even though we have increased the population by over 40,000 people. This mayor and the council decided not to do any increases to police, and very, very little to fire. Our fire is in the same boat as our police. They are under-resourced, and this is not good enough. It's not good enough for Surrey residents, and we need to improve that. We need another fire hall. We need more trucks, and we definitely need more firefighters in Surrey. With the police, we probably should be, and according to experts, we should be up around the 1,100 mark. We're at 850. We are so underserved in terms of police officers. It's getting to be a real problem for Surrey.
What about the idea of Surrey PD?
The Surrey Police Service is clearly not going to help us one bit. It's taken them 2.5 years to hire 50 officers. And if, just doing the math, we're talking, maybe 10 or more years before they're ever going to get to the complement of police officers they need. But when you talk about the Surrey Police Service, at the end of the day, regardless of whether I agree with it or I don't, the public does not trust it. They don't trust the implementation. They don't trust the plan, because, to be fair, there isn't a very good plan. They don't trust it. And no city can be policed when the public doesn't trust the police. And if you look at right now in Surrey,
mm-hmm.
all of the polling that has been done has said the public does not want this Surrey Police Service to move forward. This is something that is slowly burning money, but it will not be successful.
That's coming from a council member, that's very, very interesting. We actually had one of the on the show. We actually had one of the members of Keep the RCP in Surrey. All the signs that we see all over Surrey right now. With the I guess he originated the first petition, and from what I understand, that petition never even reached a vote on council.
Right. So the City of Surrey did a consultation process in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
The results of that consultation process that was reported was that the public supported the police. The fact was, when I asked, and I had to FOI my own city to get the data, and I got it 6 months later after it was reported out, the data did not support what the report said. Our own information from the City of Surrey, it's a 600-page document, clearly shows that the public doesn't want this. They never did. Yet, the mayor came out and said that it was supported by the public. It never was. It never has been.
I can't even fathom another real word or comment about that. That just seems counterproductive to wanting to help your own city grow, right?
Well,
and
I
keep it
think
safe.
This is a generational decision. The cost for the Surrey police service, according to experts that I talked to, and I've talked to lots, and they're not from Surrey. These are police officers from other areas, or they're academics. They are all saying that this is going to cost between $250 million to probably $300 million in capital costs alone. And I can tell you, Surrey residents will not want to pay for that. It is very, very expensive. This police force itself, the operating of it, will be much, much, much more expensive. And I don't think all of those factors have not been considered, and they certainly have not been transparent to the public. And once the public finds out the increase in their taxes, there will be stickers chalk about the cost of this transition. That's one of the reasons, not the only reason, that is one of the reasons why this has to be stopped immediately.
Well, I agree on the transparency. We haven't been able to find anywhere on any website or anything else about what the actual overall plan and budget is for the whole thing, and a figure such as 300. Which is what was that? 300 million? You said.
That's what the experts tell us.
Yeah.
And, Michael, there is no way that you will be able to find out the numbers, because everything has been held top secret inside the mayor's office, and now with the Surrey Police Service. They do not share. They have never communicated with council. I had a motion that I put forward that they report back to council, and I was berated for even bringing that up. But I have done a motion now that will come back in the fall that says that the Surrey Police Service will have to do a line-by-line accounting. And that matters, because that means they're going to have to identify on a line-by-line basis their costs. And I'll give you an example. They just went out and bought 7 cars for their top brass in the Surrey Police Service. Do you know they purchased them? Why did they purchase them? They purchased them because they want to burn money. Everybody else would have leased those vehicles, but they bought them. I have no idea why they would choose to do that. Doesn't make sense.
Buying outright is okay if it's a personal thing, but for a business or a public service, it would seem to be better to lease, because of all the other services that go along with that lease, right? So,
well, especially when you're looking at the kind of capital expenditures they're going to be making over the next number of years. So, I was quite surprised by that, but they're making decisions on their own. So.
Yeah. So, one last question, because I know we've burnt up a half hour of your time so far, and you have really important business to do for a city, because it's really apparent that you love our city. What would the ideal Surrey, BC look like to Brenda?
What would Surrey look like in the future?
Yeah.
I think in Surrey we will be building the first modern city in Canada in a very long time, in the 21st century. And I say that with amazing pride, because this city is incredible. We have a massive land base that is we're so gifted to have. We have agricultural land. We have water. We have an ocean. We have it all here. We will be the biggest city in British Columbia very soon, but we have to do it right. We have to remember the people that live here, and everybody has to matter in this transition from to a big city. I mean, one of the things I like to say, we want to be a big city that feels still like a village, where everybody matters, where everybody has a place and can enjoy their city. I think that's really critical, and I think we cannot ignore climate change. We have to make sure that we're maintaining all of those green spaces that we can, and still accommodate the kind of pressures that are beyond our city. And I really, really believe we have to remember that Surrey has the largest urban Indigenous population in all of British Columbia. We have 3 or 4 land-based nations here that are all, we are unceded territory too, and we have to respect those lands and respect the people that came here before us, and take good care of this place. But the opportunity is incredible for Surrey. It's going to be, it is going to be a gem of a city. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's you're making it sound wonderful. Yeah, I will tell you this much, that you have my vote in 2022 for you to become mayor. And I don't say those sort of things lightly. And I do thank you for your time today. And I hope you actually do get the election and become mayor.
Thank you very much, Michael. It was great to chat with you. I hope we can do it again.
I'm sure we will be doing it again soon. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
Right. Bye. So thank you for listening today, and you heard from 2 very prominent women in British Columbia speaking about how they serve their communities, and you notice the one common thread is passion for the people, passion for transparency and truth. And that is something that we should be looking for in all of our elected officials, whether they are women This show has been produced by Depictions Media. Please contact us at depictions.media for more information.